Well, the crypto markets have been pulling back over the last 24 to 48 hours, leaving a lot of investors wondering, well, what is going on and what should we be doing now? And so in today's video, I'll give you just a quick explanation as to why I believe the market's pulling back, what I'm expecting next, and what I'm doing right now. And so with that said, look, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into it. Now, looking at the crypto market today, what we can see is that, yeah, things aren't looking the absolute best. You got things like Fartcoin, Trump, and AI-16s kind of taking a bit of a beating, especially as the rest of the market is down anywhere from 7 to 10%. Now, this does seem to be a bottom-led pullback, meaning that the smaller cryptos are pulling back the most, or the ones that have either been the most hyped or the higher narratives and things of that nature. Because if we do go out to something like CoinMarketCap, I mean, you can see, yeah, we are seeing a red day today with Bitcoin and ETH and a couple more down 3%. But for the most part, you're not seeing a ton of movement from the top 10, especially if you do just look at their 7-day graphs. We're rather still in the same spot, if not just kind of gradually trending downwards, right? So nothing too crazy here from the top 10. But the further down that you do scroll, you'll start to notice those losses getting a little bit bigger, right? We're talking 5%, now you see some 10%, now you see some 7s and 9%, right? And if you do really drop down, of course, as I mentioned before, to the billion, 2 billion, 3 billion market cap, then you'll start to really notice those big L days today. Now, the question that people have realistically is, why in the world is the crypto market pulling back? And I do believe it is quite simple, and I feel like the answer to that is more of a two-part system. So I think one piece of it is fundamental, and one piece of it is technical. Now, from a fundamental perspective, it is something we've talked about here on the channel before. People are let down by Trump's inauguration. They thought it was going to be a huge catalyst. They thought he was going to shill crypto. They thought he was going to pump Trump coin right in the middle of his inauguration speech. Leave it be, right? They thought all these things were going to happen, and these things didn't happen. They thought the moment that he got into office, he was going to sign an executive order to get a Bitcoin strategic reserve going, and a lot of these people are let down. They're disappointed, and due to this, they're selling their crypto. Of course, we started to notice mass sell-offs across altcoins, and of course, across many of the retail markets for things like Bitcoin, Solana, ETH, and many more. This is objectively true that we are seeing short-term holders, investors, traders, and many more leaving the market. You got to think there were a lot of people who did also enter into the market and buy things like Solana and Trump coin and many more when it did start catching momentum. And statistics do show that many of those investors are now leaving, if not have left. And so as a result of all of this disappointment, of course, many people are starting to exit. Now, in addition to that, we are starting to get some more midterm holders exiting as well. That is something, a statistic you'll kind of notice here as well. Many of your short-term or midterm, investors are leaving. And the primary reason that I'm noticing, at least across YouTube and X and many of those other places, is more about the fact that people just don't think there's enough reasons for crypto to continue to go on, right? They're saying, okay, well, we're past Trump's inauguration, which was supposed to be the biggest catalyst of the year. If that's not going to move this market, nothing will. I'm selling. And although I do think there is some validity to that claim, I do think that it's wrong. I don't think that it's true, but I will kind of go into that in a little bit more in depth in a little while here. And so with that in mind, due to kind of all of these things, in addition to that, also Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, we did see them remove some of the meme coin branding from their website and stuff, as they're kind of getting serious now about what they're trying to do. And that obviously the altcoin market didn't like that as well, because it starts to maybe imply that the government's not going to be shilling meme coins. And I don't know if anyone has noticed this, but that is a good thing. So overall, we have been seeing a little bit of just disappointment across the market over the last couple of days. People are still waiting with bated breath to see if we do see a Bitcoin strategic reserve, but the further and further into Trump's presidency that we're getting without that, it seems as if many of those short-term and midterm investors are now selling off. Now, from a technical position, we can see that this is rather expected, okay, in terms of a pullback, okay? It is rather expected. Although it feels like so much is going on and so much is happening, quite frankly, guys, nothing's really happening, right? All we're seeing right now is the same thing we've been seeing for the last month. We've gotten to the top side of this box, and we're getting rejected off the top side of this box as we enter into the top side of our Bollinger Bands. So the Bollinger Bands are this like little envelope that you can see right here, right? And every single time over the last month that we've gotten into the top side of this Bollinger Band envelope, we've gotten pulled back, gotten pulled back, gotten pulled back, and we're getting pulled back. Now, does this mean we're going to go all the way down here for sure? No, it doesn't. The trend will change eventually, but that is just the trend, right? The trend has been we're going to get rejected. You can see here, this is a major battle zone. You have all of this resistance here, all of this resistance here. You're obviously going to have resistance at the top of your Bollinger Bands. You're going to have resistance here. That is what naturally happens. And so from a technical perspective, nothing new is happening. And that's one of the funniest things about it, is that people, every time this market is pulled back, whether it be here, whether it be here, whether it was here or here, are always going out and saying, oh, this is it, this is over, the market's done, the market's going to crash, Bitcoin's going to 30K or 20K or whatever it may be. And quite frankly, we're just doing the same thing we've been doing, right? These consolidation periods can last a very long time. I mean, we saw this previous one right here last from March all the way until October, right? These can go 6-7 months. And I don't think this one's going to, because it does have less volatility. And oftentimes the less volatile a consolidationary zone is, the more likely it is to break out in a shorter time span, especially kind of like what we saw back here, right? You see how we just had this little tiny one for a little while? That is kind of what I'm expecting. I do think we are going to break out of this eventually. We do just need to kind of see this liquidity flush happen. And we need to continue to see retail investors exiting, because that is what's going to get us out of these things. Generally speaking, you don't break out of these until many of those short-term and mid-term retail investors do leave. And as long as we're not seeing mass institutional selling and mass institutional exiting, it's not even remotely concerning whenever we're getting pullbacks in here. Matter of fact, right now we're seeing quite the opposite. We actually saw that Bitcoin ETFs, BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK Invest, and Bitwise bought nearly $1 billion worth of Bitcoin just yesterday, right? Or the day before yesterday, right? And we actually had BlackRock's CEO, Larry Fink, coming out saying that Bitcoin could hit $700,000. So it's not only that institutions are not selling. No, institutions are now starting to re-enter. They're starting to buy again. It feels to me as if institutions were waiting to get past Trump's presidency and or inauguration to just kind of see how things went. And now that we're past it, they are now back to buying as those retail investors are selling. And that is something to consider. That is something to think about. If institutions are buying all of the crypto from these short-term and mid-term traders, maybe we do start to see this market move soon. It doesn't mean that it can't pull back one more time, but it starts to make me feel as if we start to see it move, because I mean, I don't know if you guys understand this, but these institutions almost can't afford to be wrong. Like, it's just the position they're in. They almost can't afford to be wrong, and they have all of the leverage and capital in the world to make sure they're not wrong. And so when they start mass purchasing, it is something I pay attention to. Now, another good sign that we are getting, and on top of the fact that we are seeing institutions doing some buying right now, is the fact that we are actually seeing a bit of rationale here from the leveraged market. So what you can see is, of course, if we look at liquidations, Bitcoin liquidations here on CoinGlass on the 1 day to start, what you can see is that liquidations to the downside are really drying up. Now, if you're new here, what this means is that whenever people leverage trade, they can get what's called liquidated, meaning they lose so much they lose everything. Let's just say that, right? So if you're going long, meaning you're betting the market's going to go up, if the market goes down, you lose. If you're a bear and you think the market's going to go down, so you short it and it goes up, you lose. So whatever side there are a lot more liquidations on, you can assume that that is the direction the market's likely going to go to liquidate those people, if that makes sense. So what we have noticed is that in periods when there are a lot of liquidations to the downside, this means that crypto investors are very greedy. They're leveraging on 50 and 100x leverage, and they're probably going to cause the market to pull back because these slimy lizard people are going to go back and try to liquidate them, right? And what we can see here is it's clearing up. We had so many liquidations. At one point, we saw 100x, 50x, 25x leverage trades that would be liquidated way back here at like 92 or 93K, whereas all of that has shifted upwards towards like $99,000 on the 1 day. And what that means is people aren't willing to take as much of a risk. Long traders are not as greedy right now as they were before. And you can kind of see that reflected in things, right? You look at the crypto fan greed index, we're back to 60, almost back to that neutral zone. And it just means that people are starting to give up. They're starting to lose hope. They're starting to think that this market isn't going to be able to continue, that the bull market can't continue. And generally speaking, when you see that sort of sentiment across retail investors at the same time that we are seeing someone like BlackRock and all of these other major ETFs going in and buying over nearly $1 billion worth within 24 hours, it's a sign to me that we actually may very well be coming towards an end of this move that we've been in for the last month or so, which is a very, very, very good sign. And so because of that, I know the market does feel a little bit weird on days like today when you see it down 3 or 4%, but it's actually not all that scary, especially when you peel back, kind of peel things back a little bit like we did just now. And you see that one, well, we're doing what we've been doing. This is nothing new. We've done this over and over and over again for the last few weeks. And two, while retail investors are exiting, we're seeing greed leave the market. We're seeing institutional investment, which are typically all signs that this market can move upwards. Now, the question that a lot of people have is, well, does that mean that the market's going to rally? And no, I don't particularly think so. It doesn't mean that it's immediately going to do this, but I do still believe we are going to see this market put in higher highs. People have a somewhat misconception that there are no more catalysts available for the world of crypto, and I don't think that could be more wrong. Obviously, there are no major catalysts like a presidential election, a Bitcoin halving, spot Bitcoin ETF, things like that, but there are going to be dynamics within the world that do impact crypto. Now, first and foremost, I don't believe the market even needs catalysts in order to go up. I think we're going to slowly enter into a world in which Bitcoin specifically, at least, and many of the other cryptocurrencies will continue to grow as a result of their value growing, and their value grows as more people use it, more people interact with it, store it, do whatever. So I think crypto can continue upwards without catalysts in general. But if we are going to look at catalysts, you have to understand that the crypto market is becoming a bona fide, certified, legitimate asset class. Generally speaking, asset classes aren't impacted by small things within the asset class. They're impacted by the macro economy. For example, the stock market doesn't move based off of some news from Larry Fink, generally. It could, but it's usually not going to. The stock market over time moves because the value of the companies in the stock market grows, and also things in the economy change, right? Dynamics change. Maybe interest rates start going down, there's more liquidity, people have more money, they start investing. And those sort of things are still on the table for something like crypto. The strategic reserve is still on the table. Governmental actions is still on the table. Other governments buying, other institutions buying. All of these things are still on the table. And I am actually going to make a video pretty soon here on the catalysts that still do remain for the crypto market going forward. But it is a misconception out right now that there are just no more left and crypto has to go down. I think that's nonsense. Now, can it go down? Yes. Can it head back down towards 90,000, 88,000? Yes. I think it's getting more and more, less and less likely that it does that, just simply because the amount of liquidation that are going to happen to the downside are drying up a ton. They're there. They're there. Don't get me wrong. Like if we go to the 30-day, they are there. So there are still liquidations that'll happen if it goes to 92K. And I tell you all the time, what can happen will happen. So there is still an opportunity it comes back down here. But I can't imagine that if we do get this pullback to the downside maybe one more time, that it's going to happen again. It would just be very hard for me to imagine, quite frankly, because if people are already losing a little bit of hope now, I would assume they're going to lose a lot of hope next time. And so for me, it does feel to me as if this consolidation or sideways period that we're in right now should be coming towards an end soon. Maybe one more pullback to the downside, but I think that's fine with me. And hey, maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe we pull back to the downside, we head into a more macro pullback. That is still the case. I just don't foresee that. And it could be, I guess kind of trying to play devil's advocate here. It definitely could happen, but even still then, I think I would just need to see a lot more to tell me that this is the end of a bull market. This is not what the end of bull markets look like. And it's not just that I'm basing that off of crypto patterns, right? I'm not saying, well, the pattern in crypto is that it doesn't look like this. No, this isn't what it looks like on basically any asset class ever. Almost no asset classes from a grand scheme of things will end their bull markets looking like this. That's just not the way that it goes. And hey, maybe it is the case. And maybe we do see some sort of more bearish period, right? Maybe we get 6 months of bearishness or something like that, like a little mini bear market. Yeah, maybe it's possible. I'm just not going to speculate that that's going to happen until I start getting proof that that's going to happen. Because as I mentioned before, I don't think these companies going out and buying $1 billion worth of Bitcoin while all retail investors are giving up and people actually starting to question whether or not the bull market is over is a coincidence. And so I'm not going to bet on that right now. So my strategy realistically is as this market, or if this market does pull back, I am just going to continue to dollar cost average. I will actually let you know I did do a little bit of buying yesterday. Not much, just tiny little purchases. And you can feel free to read this if you want. This is over in the crypto school. I did buy a little bit of Ondo, HBAR, and XLM. Those are the only three that I purchased yesterday. But now that the market is pulling back a little bit more, I might snag up a little bit more. I will also let you know, I'm sure you saw this message down here, my Twitter did get suspended. Hopefully I'll be getting that back pretty soon. I don't know what I did, so I'll keep you updated on that. But yeah, I did do a little bit of purchasing here on the crypto market, Ondo, XLM, HBAR. I think I'm going to do a little bit more buying today, especially as I do go and analyze these on stream later. So do stay tuned for that. But I'm not doing any big purchases, quite frankly, because we are still at the top of this range. At any given point, this could absolutely just straight to the downside. We could head back to the bottom side of this range like we have on several different occasions. So why would I be doing big purchases right here? It doesn't make sense. Small, tiny purchases just along the way, just to kind of let things play out. Now, I will let you guys know something I do want to let you know before we move into the next part of the video, that there are still 17 days left if you do want to sign up with BitUnix, which is down in the description below. BitUnix is a platform that I've really started testing out a lot recently because I do plan on leverage trading very, very soon. And with that, I think I'm going to be doing a lot of trading here on BitUnix. They have everything that I want: take profits, stop losses, all the good stuff. You can do cross margin, isolated margin. They have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pairs. Basically every pair that you can think of trading, you can trading. It's a slick platform. They've been around for a while now. And right now you can get a 20% cashback bonus on deposits up to $1,000, meaning you could right now go get a $200 bonus to start trading with today. And when you do start trading, you can get up to a $20,000 USDT prize pool, which is fantastic. So head down to the link down below. Go check this out. Let me know if you're interested, but this is a really, really good deal. And I am going to be leverage trading very soon here. So again, I wanted to kind of let you know about that. Now, moving on to the very last portion of the video, I guess what I want to just kind of summarize with today is that, look, yes, this may feel bad. And yes, it may not feel very good in the sense that, the market's not really moving well and it's not exploding. But what I just want to remind you all is that consolidation periods and bull markets have a history of leading to pumps. Okay. And what I mean by that is oftentimes when crypto, when Bitcoin specifically, does go sideways, okay, when it does go sideways, it will very more, I'm talking 90+% of the time, end up leading upwards. Now, there are times where we capitulate out of this to the downside, we find support, and then we run. That has happened before, and we've seen it even in times like back here and in times like back here. So that is a possibility. So I'm not saying in the short term we can't go down, but what I am saying is it still feels to me like this market has room to run upwards. And I think we're finally getting to a point where people don't think it does. I think we're getting to a point where people are losing faith and losing belief. And that is going to be exactly what we need in order for this market to go up, because those are just retail investors. Those aren't the people with the big money that actually can move this market in the direction we want it to go in. So I wouldn't be losing faith right now. I wouldn't be losing hope. I am still staying very optimistic about what the rest of this year could look like, especially from an economic perspective here in the United States. And so with that in mind, I just wanted to say that. And again, I may be wrong. Maybe we're going into a bear market. There does feel like there is a possibility that that's there. I just don't think that is the case. But if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong when the time comes. I just don't think I am. And so with that in mind, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. I know some of you were asking, and you guys do ask pretty often, where you can see some of the things that I am buying and selling and things like that. All of that is available over in our school. As you guys know, we made a school recently for crypto investors. And what we do is we take them and give them courses, coaching, classes, live streams, workshops, signals, research, Q&As, and more, because that's what creates a strategy. You use all the lessons you learn to create strategies, because strategies create gains. And I'm not talking about little gains. I'm talking about big gains. We can go look at what the community's done just over the last couple hours. I mean, let's look at this just the last 24 hours. And I'm just going to scroll through, and you can see the hundreds of percentages in gains that have been generated by this community. Again, just in the last 24 hours as a result of all of the work they're doing with each other. I mean, a 14,000% gain there a couple hours ago. Absolutely ridiculous. He said it was pure luck, but I mean, absolutely insanity there. So if you want to go get access to that, the best part about it is you get your money back guaranteed if you don't learn anything, and it starts with as little as $5 a month. That is available for you down below. So feel free to go check it out. Let me know your thoughts. Go check out all of those links. And again, hopefully I will be back on Twitter pretty soon here. So stay tuned for that. I've been trying to live stream a lot more. So try to catch some of those live streams. Come ask questions, come hang out. And I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.